It seems these days what gets me to record a video again is fairy. Never thought I'd say that. If you're not familiar with the archetype, I have a video on it, but you know what? It's 40 minutes long. It's a little bit outdated. I thought I'd try to make a reasonable time one that is updated to the most modern of senses, where every deck can pretty much take a prize right away, thanks to Iron Boulder, Soul Rock, Van Rotem, all of our lovely friends. So, how does this deck work? If you aren't familiar, it is a Doll style, run them out of resources, and then fight against time to make sure you mill them. So you loop your Polka Dolls and your annoying little cards, and then you try to Xerosics and Team Rocket's handiwork after you run them out of resources, because you really are fighting the time. How does this work? There's three core Pokemon lines: Rabombe, Florges, and Slurpuff. Rabombe is what makes Fairy actually really cool. It turns off the effects of supporters. They can't Hex, they can't Guzma, they can't Boss. Get that online as soon as possible. Florges, on a coin flip, stacks the deck with an item card, so that can get your Counter Catcher, your Versus Seeker, your Pal Pad, or your Dolls. And then you wonder, well, how do I draw it? That's where Slurpuff goes. And Slurpuff has the same ability as Golden Go. If it's in the active, you draw 2. If it's on the bench, you draw 1. They KO a doll, you put it into the active, you have a U-turn board or a recycle energy on it, and you're just moving that along all the time. The rest of the supporting cast, Cleffa is a bailout button that says flip a coin. You'll be hearing that a lot in Fairy, flip a coin. And then if heads, you draw 6. You have Klefki, which just has a couple of annoying attacks to try to buy you a turn. It has a retreat lock attack, not normally a win condition, but can be, and confusion, again, buying time. Mr. Mime for bench barrier, because you need that in this format. And then Xerneas, which with its lead ability, can get you a supporter from the deck. So it can get you the Surge or a consistency supporter or something that maybe Pal Padded in. And notably, it has 130 HP. So you won't see it in this build, but in the gameplay video, I've been experimenting with Lux, Cape, and Penny as another way for it. You play VIP and Buddy Poffin and all the searches because you don't want to get donked, and you can get donked really easily in the format right now, and it's okay to be greedy when you're playing something like Fairy or Fire. Put in the Battle VIP pass. The good decks like Fighting and Psychic are playing it. I think we can get past the time where VIP is debatable. Counter Catcher and E-Hammer are easily loopable. I played Lost Vacuum over Field Blower. I'd love to play both, but I really value Vacuum because what deck is not playing U-turn board right now? Pokegear and Trainer's Mail are really important. I actually slimmed down some of the supporters to run Pokegear and Trainer's Mail, more cards that can find the right card at the right time. You know, like your first turn, you always want Guzma and Hollow so you can get the TM Evo play. Later, you might want a Xerosics or a Team Yelchier or Lieutenant Surge's strategy. So I put those in there. There's a lot more confusion items now. You can see there's the Yell Horn, there's the ear ringing bell. I found confusion works almost as good as a Counter Catcher or retreat lock because it makes them have to flip to attack. If they don't want to do that, then they're going to have to pivot around and then come back into the active, which would make them bench something. It's actually feels like a better status condition than paralysis at this point. It's funny. Confusion's really good. It just sticks. You have a couple of little techs like Curse Shovel for some extra mill and to help time, Rescue Scarf to get around Lost City, Chaotic Swell because I've given up on the damage counter stadiums, and then the supporters, Diantha is the most cracked one. If you're new, it's another reason like Rabombe to play Fairy. When your Fairy Pokemon's knocked out, you get 2 cards from the discard pile. Insane. Absolutely insane. And then, of course, with Lucamine and Team Yelchier, you can loop the deck forever. And for the 3 energy, the double turbo energy is there kind of for Klefki, but it's also because 3 energy just feels good. Again, you really want to hit that TM Evo turn 1, and it's typically from a Guzma, but if it isn't, you want to try to have an energy in your hand. So 2 felt too low. 4 would be nice, but I don't find a cut. So 3 is where we are. Now let's get into the gameplay. We're playing against Accoblubber on PvP. You can see a little friendly banter there. I always love the PvP simulator and the tabletop because you can talk. You have Twin Leaf as an option as well, but I know Twin Leaf has Mimikyu bugged, so it's hard to play some more competitive games. And so here, speaking of competitive, we're playing against Fighting. It's not the RDT. This is a really cool build that Akko is working on, where it's the elephant guy. Dawnfan is his name. He's invincible. It's actually really good into normal decks because, of course, with the draw 3. But we're here to talk about Fairy, and we have a cracked hand. So we want VIP, Chaotic Swell, Capture Energy, and Lilies for the 8. So let's ignore the Lilies and the VIP. In general, you want to try to get these 3 core things down here. The Swirlix, the Rabombe, and then also the flower that destroys everything in Legend ZA. Spoiler alert. But the biggest thing is really making sure that you can get that TM Evo to your Rabambe, because you want to turn off their Guzma, their Hex, their bosses, etc. ASAP. And then Slurpuff is the second thing you evolve, because you really want to make sure you get that Golden Go ability, which is to say if you have U-turn, board, or recycle energy on it when it's in the active, not only can you pivot it for free, but you get to draw 2 cards. And then long term, you have to get down this flower of... Excuse me, the flower destroyed my voice while I was talking about it. You want to get down the flower of destruction, but that's more the long-term one. So here we're going to go into Klefki. Klefki isn't normally a win condition. It's mostly a stall. It has 2 attacks for colorless, one that confuses, one that retreat locks. The thing is, they're both annoying, so they buy you a turn. The funny thing is it can be a win condition, but it doesn't really have to be. The only time I've won from it recently was to lock a Cleffa, but it was after the Psychic player was down like all their resources, so we had an insane grindy game that went like the full 40 minutes. That's not always going to happen. For the most part, it's just to buy some turns when you're flipping tails and you're not quite getting a doll recycled. So here you can see we have a pretty good hand. I've been working to make sure I have Pokegear and Trainer's Mail back into the deck. Luxcape is something that I've been playing on and off with because I was trying out Luxcape and Xerneas as a penny loop strategy, which kind of works, kind of doesn't. I go in and out between that and some other things. You also see another new card I have here in my hand, which is the Yell Horn. Confusion's been really good. The fact that they have to move in and out of the active to turn off Confusion, I've been liking that, as well as the Bell of Confusion. So here, because we have the DTE, you know this one, I think. It's a classic, okay, Klefki retreat locks, and it does 0 damage. So that's pretty nice. Because if you run into an archetype like this, they have a lot of big guys, and it's hard for them to play the game without it. If you just take fighting, for example, they don't have to bench Solrock and Lunatone, but they probably are going to, and you can do this move with the Lunatone pretty often, even if they don't have big Coleman and Machoke out there and some other things. I actually gotta say, I think the Machoke's pretty cool. Having a bench barrier like that can really shore up a lot of things. So on my hand, Teammates is one of the best cards in the deck because it procs even on dolls. Chaotic Swell is because I've given up on any of the damage counter stopping stadiums. That's the Dawn Fan there that's invincible. So it does KO, and he takes his first prize there. I just kind of read everything because it's not every day you see a Dawn Fan. So you can see in my hand, Xerosics is something I really want to talk about. It was always a staple in Fairy because otherwise you're going to hit time. You just are. And it's even better now because Fighting will get these 18 card hands. This one is a modest 9 card hand. But, you know, Team Rocket's handiwork maybe mills 2 on average, and it's coin flip based. Xerosics is actually the best mill card, which is really funny. A little thing for Yellhorn, make sure you play it before you retreat your Slurpuff. I don't think your doll being confused will come up too often, but maybe if you have a TM evolution or something. And then here's another thing, that Rescue Scarf bounces your doll back to your hand. So that way when you have Florges flipping, if it's a Tails or if it's a Heads and you want to get something like a Counter Catcher, it takes a little bit of pressure off your coin flips. It also plays around Lost City, and Lost City should be more popular now because it's pretty good into a lot of the good decks, and it's been popular for a while. Team Yellcheer, of course, is because you can use that and Lucamine to loop your deck so you never run out. You can loop your supporters indefinitely. The way you want to think about that one is you go Surge, then your Disruption supporter, whether it's Team Flare Gun or Team Rocket's Handiwork or Xerosics, and then you go Lucamine or Team Yellcheer, and you just repeat that indefinitely, switching off every other. Sometimes you can do other things like Silene or Palpad or Sinlin to kind of get into the mix. You know how Pokemon goes. The answer is it sort of depends on your prizes and what's available to you. We Palpad back in the Xerosics and the Cynthia and Caitlin. Speaking of ways to restart, we don't need the rare candy anymore. In general, I've seen people cut the rare candy, but I really like it because it helps play around the bad prizing with the Florges, and sometimes you just need to get out that quick Florges. The other thing I want to say is that this Xerneas has been a lot better recently, so I don't know if you see it too much in this game, but whether you have the Lux Cape on it or you just need to get that key supporter, I've been really liking it. I know there's an archetype called Rot Control, and we're not using it to the same effect as that, but it's just been good. And speaking of good, here is a damn good Xerosics. We're milling a whole paragraph you see on the right there of cards, and again, that's really what it's for, is for the mill. If you look at their deck, they have 8 cards left in deck, 3 in hand, so that means 11 resources left. This game, I have it on ×3 speed, but this whole game took about 18 minutes. And that's because Acco scooped once he realized he was out of win conditions. But that's just to say that, let's say you were even at a locals where someone was a little bit newer and playing slower, that gives you a 20-minute buff time. So as long as you know what you're doing and you play fast, you'll be fine. You'll really be fine. Trying to look at this hand and think of anything else worth noting. The Cleffa, I know some people don't like. It's a bailout. Like obviously in a game like this where you just have a cracked hand, you don't need it. But it's like Cleffa and Standard. Sometimes you need a bailout. And then here's that funny thing. This is the Lux Cape Lily's Polka Doll. So it doesn't actually do that much here, but in general, he just has to scoop because he's out of resources. You can see all of his energy is stuck. If you like this video and you want to buy your own fairy control deck, this is available on Darkside Games. If you want to get any other Pokemon singles, use code ZMAN15 for 15% off your order. Thanks for watching the video and subscribe.